The Badlands, home to some of the strangest creatures ever to walk this earth. They were designed to serve in the event of war, but they have long since been abandoned. Now, without masters, they have reverted to the one thing they understand: fighting. We begin our journey on CP Dustbowl. Commonly known as the heart of the war, this desert is where it all began, and after so many years it would be thought that the blue team had developed some common sense. However, that is not the case, and they steal suicides into the red team at the beginning of every mission. They've yet to realise that the red team places sentries in the exact same spots every time, but one day, they will learn. The red team's goal, of course, is to prevent the control points from being captured by the blue team. One method they have used to great effect is a strategy of shooting through walls that is being demonstrated by this heavy. However, he soon decides that it's not working in this case and shoots the stairs instead. The blue team, intent on capturing the first control point, use an Uber in an attempt at pushing past the red team's line of sentries. It looks as though it's working, but the red team also has an Uber which they pop, resulting in a moment of uncertainty between the two teams. They know they can't damage each other, so they just stand there, staring until the Uber runs out, at which point the Heavy and Medic come to their senses and retreat. In the aftermath, this Heavy appears unsure what to do. The blue team is advancing, and after a moment of thought, he decides to try and defend the control point, along with this engineer who attempts to build a sentry. Unfortunately, it is too late, and the red team are driven back, leaving blue to capture the control point. Over at control point number 2, the engineers are already preparing their line of defence. However, they seem to be having trouble upgrading their sentries. They've both built them in truly awful spots, and one of the engineers would rather run around aimlessly than douse the fire on his building. The other engineer eventually upgrades his sentry to level 2, but unfortunately aspires to other ideas as he sneaks past the entire red team and places sappers on both turrets. An engineer comes running, but he is too late to save his own sentry before it is destroyed. He then completely ignores the sapper on the level 2 and proceeds to build a sentry in the corner. The second engineer is nowhere to be seen and is presumed dead. Meanwhile, this blue engineer is having significantly more luck than the red team's engineers. He has already built a sentry, a teleporter and a dispenser and upgraded the sentry to level 3. What he is defending though, nobody knows, for he has been cursed by being on the attacking team. Building sentries is all he will ever know, and it is all he will ever do until death claims him. Back at the second control point, the red team has decided to abandon sentries altogether. Instead, they have come up with a much more sophisticated plan. That is, for the entire team to all stand in one place. Nonetheless, as anyone would expect, this turns out to be a terrible idea, and they are quickly and brutally massacred, leaving the control point to be captured by the blue team, though at first this scout seems to ignore the obviously deserted area, instead running straight to his death. The rest of the blue team, however, see the opportunity and grasp it, winning the battle, though that was only one of many battles to come. On the way to our next destination, we make a short detour at Koth Nucleus. This visit will be short, but the area demonstrates an important part of the behaviour of bots. For at the beginning of every round, the bots commit a mass suicide, hurling themselves straight to their deaths without even looking back, their eyes fixated on the control point which they've been programmed to capture. They never learn, only obey, and because of this, thousands of bots die every day. We now move on to our final destination, PL Upward. The blue team here is attempting to blow up the enemy base using a bomb and some conveniently placed tracks. Of course, the red team hasn't thought of removing the tracks. All they know is killing, which doesn't cover manual labour. You'll notice here these demo men are placing some elaborate sticky traps. It doesn't matter where they put them, bots never look anywhere but forward, so they just shoot the sticky bombs in the cart's general direction. Meanwhile, the blue team's engineer is waiting to build his teleporter entrance. At this point, where he will build the exit, not even he knows. But he knows one thing, and that is he must build a teleporter entrance. However, the fight begins, and he has something a bot has never had before, a thought. He decides building a teleporter is a terrible idea, and makes a hasty retreat back into the base. The red demo men are still watching their sticky trap, waiting for the blue team to come out and push the cart. Sure enough, no less than 5 bots come out, and are instantly blown to pieces. After that, the red team appears to have the upper hand. However, the blue team use their Uber, and manage to push out of the spawn. They quickly employ the popular strategy of everyone pushes the payload even though you only need 3 people to push it at max speed, and it appears to be working well for them as they manage to capture the first point with little to no trouble. But as the rest of the blue team push the cart, the spy has made a discovery. He has never seen such an object, and thus is unsure what to do. The decision is quickly made for him though, as the Heavy walks past, minigun spinning and bullets spraying everywhere. The spy moves on with his life, and stumbles across the red team's sentry. This, he understands, and he is quick to sap it and the strange red building standing next to it. His joy is short-lived though, as the red pyro sees what's going on, and ends the spy's life. The engineer doesn't even flinch, just a day in the life of a construction worker. Eventually, the blue team manages to push past the red team's initial line of defences and makes their way towards the second point. However, it appears the blue team is more of a threat to themselves than the red team are, as they once again demonstrate a sheer misunderstanding of fatal drops. Both this demoman and scout think they have what it takes to face the mountain path, but both fall to a sticky end. At this point, the biggest cause of casualties for the blue team seems to be the cliff, as demonstrated by yet another team member not looking where they are going. The casualty rate for the red team, meanwhile, has plummeted due to the lack of blue team to fight. This medic decides that the blue team doesn't need an Uber. The term drop has never been more appropriate. This demoman also falls off the cliff. However, the cause was more because of the fact that he was blown off, as opposed to extreme idiocy. This soldier decides he wants to join the medic. However, at the last second he changes his mind and clings onto the side of the cliff for dear life. His attempts to climb up only make him fall further. For a moment, it looks as though he'll do it, but at the last second he slips, causing both him and a friendly medic to fall to their doom.